Welcome back to another episode of the Electrician's Tool Channel. Today we're going to just discuss some of the tools that you use. It's not all of them, but this is some of the tools that you use working as an electrician inside of a hospital. And I used to work inside of a hospital for about 5 years. I worked my way up from just doing like calls, running calls, do service calls, until I wound up becoming a supervisor, and then I became a plant manager. Then I became an assistant director for the engineering department inside of a hospital. And my road to that was, I'm gonna give you a little story about how that happened. When I first started out, I was an industrial electrician, and I was working in a plant. So anyway, I just kept having the feeling that this plant was going to shut down, and I wanted to get out of that plant before they do shut down. And so anyway, so I just wound up leaving, and someone told me about they're looking for an electrician at this hospital. So I went over and talked to the guy, and it was so strange to me is the guy who called himself asking me questions to see what do I know as an electrician. He wasn't even an electrician, and he called himself testing me. And I figured it out because, if you're an electrician, you have to name certain parts like belonging to an electrical circuit or whatever. You have to know these parts, you know these names. And not only that, you have to just know what you're talking about, because if you don't, a real electrician is going to expose you. He may not say nothing, but he's going to figure you out that you don't know what you're talking about. So this guy, he was talking to me, and he was the manager. And he was talking to me. Instead of him saying the right names and using the correct terminology, it was more like he was saying just that whatchamacallit part right here, and you make it go down this certain way, and then if it's a short circuit, and he didn't know what he was talking about, I had to finish his sentence for him. So I know he was impressed with me, but I wasn't really impressed with him. But at the same time, I knew if I get this job, if he's the manager, I can only imagine how his crew looks and who his crew was. Now I'm gonna finish this stories, guys. But let me ask you, if you've seen my channel, if this is your first time visiting my channel, I ask that you hit the thumbs up button if you like it, and if you got any kind of value out of this video, hit the subscribe button and check out the rest of my videos. And all that's important, all that's in support of the channel, and it's for free. So let me carry on with the story before I get into telling y'all about these tools that you see in front of you. And so after he interviewed me, and he was so impressed, and he was can you believe, trying to trick me up. And I've always had a calm head, a cool head, and I always trying to watch my words, what I say. When I'm talking to him, and he was impressed. So he hired me. So after he hired me, and I did come to work, and I bought some of my tools with me because I know they didn't have tools. And then again, if you claim to be you're a certain skilled laborer, you're going to have all the tools that you need, especially if you've been doing this for a lot of years. They expect you to have, more than just a screwdriver, more than just a, pair of pliers or something like that. So what happened was, when I moved to that department, and they had other guys, I scoped out. I had scoped out everybody who was working there. And I found out who knew what and how much he knew, and who was the, what would I say? How can I put it? The go-to guy. The one that there's always one in the crew that claimed to know everything. And, so I found out who he was. So, and I just, I had my tools, and come to find out this guy who thought he knew everything didn't really know anything at all. So now I know this was my time to shine. Okay, and what happened was he was this. It just so happened the day I started, this AC unit that had broken, and it was a split unit, a Mitsubishi split unit, and this unit was for a server room. It was a split unit that you were using for a server room, and that's where all the computers and things that it's a computer server room. And what happened was he couldn't get it up and running. He couldn't get it up and running, but he was supposed to be this go-to guy. And remember, I came here, I had all the tools that I needed and what have you. Now, I'm familiar with this kind of stuff. Am I AC guy? No. But I do, I know my way around it. So he went up and he told the manager that he couldn't get it fixed. The manager didn't know what he was doing, so he believed him. And they called a local AC guy to bring them a new unit out, the whole unit. And the guy hadn't made it there yet. I didn't know they made the phone call, but it just so happened that was the day that I started. Okay, and so I asked him, can I go take a look at it? Sure enough, man, I went on top of the roof. I got my meter. And the first thing you could check if it got power, and you go through your steps. If you did any kind of troubleshooting, you're gonna go through your steps. Process of elimination. See if it got power, and follow first of all, and get the got power. Then, but first of all, and then get the schematics out. But it just didn't have. He didn't have the schematics because nobody was there. Nobody in that place was worried about record keeping or anything. There were more part changes than anything. But to make a long story short, I took the capacitor off, and sure enough, man, it was the capacitor. So I went down and I told the manager, I said, well, do you have another capacitor like this? And he said, go ask the guy who was fixing on him. And I don't want to call his name. I won't do that. Anyway, so he looked at it. He kept telling me about, now keep in mind, he don't even know me, but he telling me that it's not that, it's not this. And well, I do know this part is bad. So he went and got one. Remember, he got to show off to me because I'm the new guy and he's the go-to guy. Well, and we wind up going back upstairs with a new capacitor, put it on, the unit started running. Now, how did that make him look? Very bad. So when I came back down, I told the manager, I said, the unit is running now. He said, what was wrong with it? I said, the capacitor. Oh man, he jumped all over that guy. You mean to tell me you're going to get me to buy a whole, MF unit and this what it was, this guy. So he my manager went told the CFO about what all I've done. The word got around. In other words, there's a new kid on the block who knows what he's doing. Okay, and that was me. And so now they got their eyes on me now. Okay, so now here it is. All the stuff that they had that was breaking down, that this go-to guy was pushing stuff that he can't fix into the back of the shop. Oh man, I look back that he had so much stuff back there that he did not fix, didn't know how to fix. So one by one, I started fixing this stuff, putting it back on the floor, fixing this stuff, putting it back on the floor, fixing this stuff, putting it back on the floor. That was my claim to fame right there. Before you know it, I became a supervisor over all these guys. Was I hated? You're darn right I was hated. Because how do I get this position all of a sudden? That's why I tell you young guys that's coming up now, read, learn, continue to get the education, Know what you're working with, know what you're doing, know how to test what these test tools are for. And I became the supervisor. And then it didn't stop there, y'all. I just kept on doing stuff. They kept on pulling them out of jams. And I became the manager. Then this new company took over the hospital. Then I became the assistant director. Well, but anyway, this guy who was a go-to guy, he was up in age, but he wasn't that old. But he had a couple of years that he had to go before he retired. So he wound up retiring early because he could not take the scrutinizing from the people who once thought he knew everything before I got there. And when I got there, come to find out he didn't know nothing. I'm sure some of you guys know people like that. Empty wagon make the most noise, who's always doing all the talking and nothing but hot air coming out of their mouth. And so that's what happened. And I became the assistant director, and he couldn't take it. So he wind up, he said, retiring early. So he left. Now, anyway, that's the story with the hospital. And anyway, I wind up being the assistant director for almost 5 years until I left. And I just couldn't take the policies no more from this new company, and I just didn't want to deal with it anymore. Anyway, those of you who worked in the hospital before, the hospital have a lot of codes. There's an agency that looks over the hospital, like OSHA. They have Joint Commission. They have CMS. We were under CMS, and we had to keep things in order. I mean, you couldn't raise a ceiling tile up without getting permission, without getting a confined space permission going in there. You couldn't do that. Just how it was. Anyway, these are some of the tools that I used working in the hospital, and I just call them out. Even this book right here, I was planning on taking the exam for the CHFM. And those of you, like I said, who worked in the hospital know that stands for Certified Healthcare Facility Manager. It's just, I guess, a glorified way of saying that he's just the manager of the department. He know the codes of the hospital, basically. And after I found myself reading through it and trying to learn the codes and see what, it's a good book to learn. So I was reading through it. As you see, I done read through this book, and I was learning this book and studying for the exams, and I've been all through this book, man. But I didn't just, I said, what the hell with it, man? I said, the hell with that. I didn't, I wasn't planning on being in the hospital that long, working for the hospital that long. But anyway, let me just go through these test instruments one by one. Let's just show you guys some of the test instruments that I did use, and I'm sure some of y'all are familiar with these because I've done videos on most of them. Some of them I have not. First time that you have seen these before, and I'll just tell you what I use them for. Well, over in the corner over here is the Fluke clamp meter. That's the 376 clamp meter. With under the bottom here, a lot of you guys always asking me. Hold on one second. Under the bottom here, all y'all guys always ask me what is that. That's for stray voltage. If you going anywhere, the power's off, and you want to test for stray voltage, or that enables this meter to test for that. There's always a danger with stray voltage, even though the power may be off, but it may be laying next to a wire that may be hot and may carry that current, and that'll let you know if that wire has stray voltage on it or not. Anyway, that's the Fluke clamp. That's the Fluke 376 clamp meter, and that's one of the best meters to have if you're working in any kind of industrial field, commercial, hospital, because it has everything you need. It has AC/DC voltage, AC/DC amps. It has That's a hertz. It has capacitance, diode testing, millivolts, and inrush. If you deal, and most likely you're gonna be dealing with motors also. So that has everything you need. And also it has the iFlex. I just don't have it up here for the lack of space. That has the iFlex for safety. That's not the one with the FC on it, but that's a darn good meter. So that's the one I preferred working. I've had a meter for a while now, but that was my meter that I prefer working in that environment. Okay, next to it right here is my insulation tester. Working in that environment. Motor's gonna go bad, and hospital is fast, man. You can't let nothing sit down, and you got to make sure everything is working up to its peak. And so you got to do PMs on just about anything, even though it looks like it's running good, it's running right. Every now and then you have to shut that off, and you have to test stuff and keep records of everything. So I used to test certain pumps. I turn them off, and I check the insulation on them. And I keep a record of all of that stuff. So this is the meter that I was using for that. This, let me see, no. And this, I bought this from Harbor Freight. This is for when I'm using my, when I'm changing out a receptacle. And and a receptacle may be, what the word I want to say, it may be good, but it has to be changed out because the prongs right here in the receptacle, as far as the tension, may not be up to code. And how would you know that? Well, this device right here is by a Woodhead, and this is a tension tester, and it's used for used in healthcare environments, nursing homes, hospitals, things like that. So when you put tension, when you plug this inside of the receptacle, and there's a code in NFPA, I think it's 90, I believe, that lets you know. You see, if you can see this, I have the green and I have the two red. If I put this inside a receptacle and the tension only pulls it to that number, like below that 10, and this one below the 10, this one could be on the green. But if this one on this side is like by that 4, as far as tension, it's time for me to change that receptacle out. Because being an electrician, that can start a fire. That's all it takes for a little arcing. And inside a hospital, they may have oxygen in that room or what have you. So you have to change that receptacle out. And sometimes you can always, you can't really, turn the power off. There may be times when you cannot turn the power off. So I would have this, instead of trying to hold a receptacle with your hand, the outside of with your hand and trying to change. No, I used to always have this just in case. But that's what these two go together for me. That one. Now, this thing right here is for noise. This is a digital sound level meter. This is not one of the most expensive ones, but this one, it still works. I can't remember the dB, the level that you couldn't, that you had to stay within what it was. I can't remember that. But anyway, it do work. Works really good. And I've been having it for a long time. And it works fine. Those of you can see it, it works. There's nothing wrong with it. And I'm trying to do that. See how it jumps up? So it works fine. We used to have to make sure that even if the nurse is behind the nurse's station talking real loud, it was my duty as an assistant director. I had to tell my guys, if the nurses are hot or making a lot of noise and you walking with this meter through the hospital and it go up to that, within that level or past that level that it's supposed to, just tell them kind of bring it down some. Because remember, those people need to get, they need to get their rest, get their health back and get out of the hospital. So that was part of the job. That was part of my job also. Now, this right here, you've seen me do a video on this before. This is a branch circuit analyzer by Ideal. Not a lot of companies make them now, but I know a company like, I think Etchtech make one now. Ampro make one, the Inspect 3. And I think Mastech make one. But to me, I think Ideal had the best one they had. And one of the first ones out and that they had. This thing right here, I made this myself to put on the top. But you could buy one from Ideal. It doesn't look like this. It's one cord. It kind of looks like this here, but they have their own. But I made this myself for this. But this is the cord with the NEMA plug on the end that goes with this. Let me try to plug it in. Maybe you can see. You guys can see. And this is a branch circuit analyzer. It tells you about the hot, the cold, and see 122 volts. It goes through it and tells you voltage drop and things like that. The voltage have dropped too far. That can start a fire because and things. So you have to be aware of all that. You have to know exactly what you're doing. And also these adapters goes with this. You have to test for isolated grounds or ground continuity. This come from Ideal also. So you have to you plug this in here, and this plugs into the back of this one and that one. You can test for an isolated ground, or you can test for ground continuity. And that's what that's for. Now, let me just put them on the side, get it out of the way. This is a voltage performance. sometimes when you work, and depends on where you're working in the hospital, you can't always be in the room. If they're telling you a machine is not working properly, or outlet's not working properly, you can't always be in that room all day to monitor it. You can't. Sometimes you can't leave a big old multimeter in that room to monitor that machine or that outlet. That's where this comes in at. You can plug this inside the wall or plug it inside on the side of the machine. I do have a plug where I can plug this inside the plug. Oh, let me see, I have it here. Hold on. Show you guys how it looks. This is it right here. So if I decide to, I can plug the machine inside of here, plug this inside of here, and then I could just analyze that outlet, using this cord right here, and it'll tell me about the sags, the swells, the impulses, or the total or harmonic distortion in that outlet, in that branch circuit, and you could just analyze that circuit, troubleshoot that circuit. So, but this is a good instrument to have also. Very good instrument to have. Let me see. A lot of you guys may not know what this is. Some of you, I'm sure you HVAC guys know what this is. This is a Vanometer. And this is an analog one, Vanometer. You use this for your AC. Basically, this tells you about the feet per minute velocity. What we used to do, there's a thing called negative air and positive air inside of hospitals. We used to have to check that, like in operating rooms. They need positive air. Positive air. No, negative air. Negative, let me see, positive. Positive air inside of an operating room to push the air out, not to bring nothing in an operating room. Because remember, they have someone on the table, maybe getting cut wide open, have a surgery. They don't want to pull air inside that room because you're pulling germs inside that room. So they need air to be pushed out of that room. So you may want to put this up by the vent. Depends if the vent in the air, in the ceiling, or the vent is on the door. You could check with this, or you could close your door and put this between the door and the frame, and just see how much is pushing out. For example, I'm blowing in it right now, and you just get a velocity reading. Just tell you how strong the wind is blowing, and how strong it is. So this is very important. Some people still use this, but in the hospital, I think it's a good thing to use. You could use it around your home also. You can also put it in front of your window unit and just see how strong the wind velocity is. But a lot of people, they use the CFM meter. They use something like this, and we used to use this also. You put it up by the vent. It's a vein probe, and for CFMs. Okay, and we used to use this in the hospital also, and just to check the vents to see if the air is blowing properly, and then we'll go back probably a month later, check it again, change out the filter, things like that. That's what we used to use inside of the hospital. Now, also, we used to use these. The hospital had this was junk, really. Now, I bought this because we had satellite television in some of the hospitals, in the hospital at the time. And you connect this, you lose signal. And I used to put this between the wires, the antenna and the television, just to see if you got a connection. Not a connection. See how strong the signal. The thing never worked. Trust me. So if you got one of these things, this is a piece of junk. This one and this one, this piece of junk. So I'm not gonna comment. I'm not gonna comment on this too long. Just tell you what it is. It's a piece of junk. So, but I bought that, hoping that it'll help me. I bought this also because this is by Fluke. This is underrated. This thing is so underrated, but it works perfectly. If you had a short in the wire, I don't have batteries in it, but I did do a video on this before, guys, so you may want to check it out. if you have a short in the wire and you know in the hospital, a short, you have to find that short. You cannot let it linger. You got to find, if there's a short that's causing a breaker to trip, you got to get that up and running. You better get it up and running. And if you can't get it up and running, you better find somebody who can. So, I actually use this. If that was a short in the wire somewhere, it could be on the motor or whatever. This would tell me exactly how far what a break in the wire is. The break in the wire, and it tells you in feet. And I used to also use this as a circuit breaker finder. I used to use it for that, or and it works really good. It goes up to like 3,000 feet. It sends signals up to like 3,000 feet. They have these clips on the end. They call bed of nails, and these are some really good clips. And this is a really good instrument, y'all. I did a video on this, but Fluke also has a video on this, so you might want to check that out too. I may not be doing this a big service like Fluke did, but this is a real good instrument. So you guys need to check that out. This is the Fluke Network's TS100. I'm telling you, you need to check that out. So now, this is by TFI. This is a combustible gas sniffer. Well, whenever I used to go inside of to work like on MCC cabinets, that's the motor control cabinets for y'all who may not know what that stands. That acronym is for motor control cabinets, like inside of a hospital. Wherever I'm working at, I always have safety on my mind. Sometimes, there may be a leak of gas anywhere and you don't smell it. So I like to go and walk around the plant before I do an electrical work, because that's all you need is a spark to set things off. You may have gas boilers in there, because we used to have gas boilers in there. And this is an older one. I've since bought a new one by Klein, but this one still works fine. But this is an older one, and it's really nice. I used to have this in the hospital with me. Okay, and it's by TIF. This is a TIF 8800. Okay, so these right here, if you're an electrician or any technician or whatever you do, you must have lockout tags out. You got to have it. You gotta have it. So this is mine right here. I still use it to this day. When I'm working on panels, residential, commercial, I still use this if needed. If I have to lock the panel out while I'm working, this is it. If I can't lock the panel because they need all the rest of those breakers on, and so the breaker that I'm working on, I'll use this single breaker lockout. That's what I'll use. It's by Master Lock. Number is 491B. This is the one I'll use. Now, for example, if I'm working on a light fixture, when I was in the hospital, and I can't turn that breaker off because that breaker is running other things that's in that room or whatever, I'll turn the light switch off if I'm working on a light switch, and I'll put this over the light, over the switch, put it down there, and I'll put my lock on here. And that'll keep the light, that'll break that circuit until I'm finished doing what I'm doing with that light that I'm working on, or whatever I'm working on. So, with that being said, God, I hope you got, last but not least, you got to have some PPE. This is not all the PPE I have, but I'm just letting you know, I'm talking in general. You must have some PPE whenever you're doing work inside the hospital. That's very important. If you want to go home at the end of the day, you must have some PPE. Your life is on the line. There's other people's life on the line. And even if you live, you don't want to go home blinded or things like that. So you must have PPE at all times. So let me see if I got everything. I think I did, got everything. So guys, if you, I hope you guys liked the video. It was fun making it. Again, if you got anything out of the video, if you enjoyed the video, I hope that you hit that thumbs up button that's located underneath the video. And if you didn't like this video, check out the rest of my videos. I'm sure you'll find one out of the 300 and something that I already have posted on YouTube. And if you like it, like any one of them, subscribe to the channel, man. We'd love to have you join us. So with that being said, you guys take care and peace out.